I think that the industry is starting to understand that if they're going to take the digital experience to the next level, that will include new ad experiences, because it can't just rely on what we've done for the past 70 plus years.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the video platform category. I'm super excited to be here with Scott. Scott is the co-founder and chief product officer of Transmit.live. Scott, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
To give the audience a little bit more context about why we're having this interview, we looked at well over 60 companies, what we call in the video platform category, and specifically Transmit.live is doing some really interesting things within the video advertising space. And we talked about this a little bit earlier about how especially for TV and video advertising, is pretty archaic and hasn't really changed much, and how you've approached this problem in a way that gives both flexibility and probably a lot more engagement is quite exciting. We're going to get into Transmit.live. I think, Scott, you provided us with a few visuals that helps the audience get at least a baseline understanding of who is Transmit, and then we'll jump into questions right after that. Sounds good?
Great. That works for me. So as mentioned, we are Transmit.live. We were founded in 2017. Our mission from the start was to empower content rights holders to better engage and retain audiences, discover new audiences, and give them new solutions that provide them an innovative layer in a means to effectively monetize their audiences and create more value in connection with their content and the content experience. Just taking a step back, the reason why we think the experience, especially the ad-supported experience, is so important is because for the last 75 years, the TV industry and digital video ad industry, obviously on a slightly smaller timeline, has been essentially using the same standard for video advertising since its inception. And it's remained fairly unchanged. Challenge that has created, especially as we enter into a much different ecosystem of viewing behaviors, viewers connecting with content across all devices, across many different apps, is that the actual retention of those ad formats falls short, primarily because we've basically designed the advertising ecosystem to be such a repetitive cadence. And when you create ad executions with repetitive cadence for 75 years, you're naturally going to drop attention rates from your prospective viewers. Not only that, but it is disruptive to the programming. So viewers have fallen into a repetitive cadence of ignoring ads. Where we really felt that the industry needed to innovate is combine the scale of digital and combine the scale of addressable ad executions with an innovative layer of the ad experience and bringing the ads into the actual content stream without a disruption to the viewer experience. And why that's important for publishers, content rights holders, is because one, they could maintain a better relationship and engagement with their viewers. Two, creates an innovation layer for their brand advertisers to give them something with more appeal, something that will perform better versus standard ad executions. And three, it really ties the viewer in and creates, even outside of ads, but an interesting opportunity to really connect the context of what the viewer is watching with an ad message, or even just with interesting moments of time that you could really connect with the viewer about what they're watching, or really draw them into the actual stream, get them to participate with what the actual content they're watching. So we have released the picture-in-picture ad, as we're calling it. On TV, it's sometimes referred to as double box or squeeze back. We've adapted this to digital scale and digital ad, and compatible with all digital ad serving platforms. So advertisers can buy this just like they would buy standard pre-roll or mid-roll interstitial ad pod breaks. And the experience looks like this. So we integrate with a large network of publishers to adopt our software within their streams. We inject ad breaks at particular moments of time, and we are able to feed the standard commercial spot from the advertiser's TV creative right into the actual stream feed, engaging the viewer while they're watching the content, not taking them away from the content. And there's a lot of other customization layers that can take place off that, but we can get into that in a moment. As far as the general experience is concerned, you can see this staging environment that I queued up to give you a sense. So it all starts with the stream. We ingest a variety of different stream formats, and then you configure the stream in the platform. And then you can select the experience. We support linear formats, standard ad breaks. We support overlay bugs and graphic animated overlays that can also be injected within the content stream. But the predominant ad experience right now that's really has been gaining wide attention and adoption from our content rights holder marketplace is the picture-in-picture ad experience. And that allows for configuration and customization at each ad break layer. So you can upload the brand or sponsor's logo. And this could be as customized or tailored as you need it to be. And we can get into other differences there in a moment. You can add any transition layers or elements that you want to live in connection with the ad experience. You can upload a custom background image. So that would be the background of the actual picture-in-picture. And then you add your advertiser demand source. And the demand source is really that 6, 15, or 30-second video spot that will animate into that adjacent window adjacent from the actual stream itself. And this is standardized, industry standard, VAST protocol ad serving tags. You also can select, and this is a content owner experience selection criteria. In certain moments, you might want to have the ad sound on. It might be suitable to have the ad sound on while it's within the stream, or you might want to enable that for ad sound off. You want to continue to hear the audio of the actual live stream. And then you can set and customize your breakpoints. So we have defined the cue points here by each time code by minute. So that's when the ad injection will actually occur. You can also select intervals. So if you just want repetitive cadence, one in the beginning, middle, and end, you can do that too. That's more popular in VOD streaming. And then we can also accept industry standard markers for ad replacement, which is based off SCUDY 35 and ID3 tags that actually signal to us right from the actual stream itself. So that will require no configuration or customization. And then you can save preview 1 second, and then you can hit play. And now you can see that the ad breaks are firing within those defined time codes. So if we skip ahead, then you can see my Head and Shoulders logo is appearing. The background template is defined here as the publisher's background skin, but this can be an ad-supported background skin. And then from this demand source, this VAST ad serving tag, you're feeding in that commercial spot into the actual stream feed. And then you would be able to see a variety of other ad breaks on the cue points. These ads are really ingrained with the experience. And I think soccer or something like Premiership football is a really good example, because there's so many small break-in actions where you wouldn't otherwise be able to trigger an entire ad pod break. However, with this, you can really adjust and customize those monetizable moments that really make sense to integrate brand messaging and also tie in the experience to what the viewer's watching. And then you have your AT&T ad firing at the time code moment with the same branded content owner background skin. And then taking it from there, I think measurement is critical in this scenario, because you're able to collect so much unique information and data because you have that stream level detail, and especially looking at that data and ad performance, which could also train the system to learn when the most suitable ad breaks would be relative to viewer engagement. So you can see viewer engagement by hour, by day, and that's when you're triggering ads, how many ads you're serving, so you can manage revenue yield. And I will say that this format, the really interesting piece here is that this is all incremental to what content owners are currently doing. So it does not have to replace anything. It's incremental monetization and with a better experience. And you could also track viewership across the geographical. This platform is designed for global scale and also designed for cross-device, which is obviously a really important piece when you're looking at the way viewers are consuming content and just OTT advertising or OTT viewership in general, tapping across all screens on an ongoing basis. And then just looking at down to your programming analysis. What programs did I run on? If I'm an advertiser, where am I seeing the strongest engagement, and across what devices, and then what platform environments, what OEMs are they watching on? So you could really get a sense for how are my ads performing in different environments across an array of content. And this really maps back to the way, obviously, television advertising is bought and sold, because now you're really looking at it in terms of programming and not really beholden to, I'm just buying on this one app or this one site. You're really looking at this agnostically, and your ads are following the programming and the viewer engagement to maximize the value.
Thank you so much for going through that. It's actually really cool to actually see the everything in action on the back end. It's very cool. And I like the simplicity of being able to just insert an ad and then just let it run.
And that the simplicity aspect was really important to us. We've, between myself and my co-founder, we've both been in this specific industry for the last 20 years. And we know that you can't create an entirely new custom solution and expect adoption overnight. So everything that we've done is simple in the way that it is designed and executed, but also compatible within the same workflows that they're already accustomed to buying. So there's very limited changes or customization that has to be made. The only thing that really changes is the actual experience and the delivery mechanism, which is on us. And that's where our technology comes in.
I really like the detail that you went in there, and I want to highlight some of the aspects that you shared already. But before I even jump into the product itself, I'm curious, is there a backstory about why you started Transmit.live?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, myself and my co-founder have been in the industry for 20 plus years. We've been working in building startups, and also my co-founder actually founded his own. He founded a demand side platform called Run DSP, which was sold to Publicis in 2014. And I've been working with a variety of startups in my career, particularly in the video streaming space, since essentially streaming's inception. So when you go through a lot of those trends and changes, you have some pattern recognition elements, which is incredibly apparent in the video advertising world. Everything follows patterns, iterations, and innovations if you time it. So that's one. And then after my previous company was acquired that was around 2014, 2015, I stayed on with the acquiring company to lead video solutions product across the global organization. At that time, they were working with a large variety of major broadcasters. And I kept hearing the same challenges and problems, which is pretty obvious at that time. It was just starting to really come on the radar of, hey, we're declining audiences. Our economic model is changing, and it's going to be entirely different come 2025, especially 2021, when a lot of the major rights contracts have expired. So there's incredible changes that go in the market. Their challenge was, how do we retain viewers? How do we create new loyal viewers? And how do we really think about the future of monetizing the experience? Because we can't just rely on the cable subscriptions forever, and every single app provider can't rely on, or media provider can't rely on having their own subscription model and think that's just going to replace that. From there, started to think about, a platform that would really support this and take this to the next level of OTT advertising with all the needs that they have expressed. So we got together with my co-founder now, and it was the right timing for both of us. We started to spec out what this platform looks like. We started building in 2016, got to MVP in 3 months, and launched with the NFL draft in April of 2017. That was our first client.
It's interesting how you saw the issue that it almost seems like especially the traditional broadcasters going through almost like an existential threat of realizing that the entire old system prior to broadcasting is completely changing, and now switching to on-demand services, and business models are changing, and control of who's distributing what is changing. And it's interesting to see how you've taken that initiative, especially on the advertising side, to really cater to this evolution of how video is being distributed and consumed. I want to just really highlight this. I know you talked about it already in the beginning of the slides that you shared, but can you help explain why these new ad formats benefit OTT providers, and why have traditional formats not worked, or I guess not worked as well?
I think that traditional formats are not going away, and that's not my claim. I think that there is a lot of value in the traditional format and the experience. I think that the industry is starting to understand that if they're going to take the digital experience to the next level, that will include new ad experiences, because it can't just rely on what we've done for the past 70 plus years. There's conclusive evidence to back that up. And even in just studies that we've done with Nielsen, we compare this in-content experience to the standard traditional experience. And there's 3 key points where we're seeing tremendous lift based off of that study. And one is just viewer sentiment. What do they like better? It's pretty obvious that they don't want to wait to engage with their content for a pre-roll, which would take them away for 30 seconds, or sometimes there's even longer form content playing before they want to watch their selected content. And then two is they are just conditioned to walk away when you place a 6-minute ad break in front of them, and they'll come back once they think it might be over, or if they're on their desktop or mobile phone, they'll browse something else and come back to their content. So there's an inherent loss of attention that that you're taking on there. But first and foremost, it's really viewer experience. There's so many places to watch content, and a lot of the media operators really want to provide their viewers with a better experience that will make their viewership more enjoyable, to be honest with you.
No, it makes sense, especially given that, like you mentioned, that there's so many options for viewing content, and having, especially in traditional sense, like really disruptive ad breaks that content that you wanted to watch, you can no longer watch. And so the moment it's turned off, that's an opportunity for you to shift your attention to something else and changing that and altering it away where you can still keep people engaged, but still continue to display the ad and get attention for the ad. I think is a really smart approach.
Yeah, if you look at even if you look at from the non-ad side, like just the experience that are under development being tested right now, 5 years ago or a year ago, I would have never thought that Nickelodeon would be running a NFL football. They took that and they created very unique experiences within that, with superimposed imagery of slime after someone scores a touchdown and things like that, where that's really testing in content experiences. That can be ads, and that was certainly branding for Nickelodeon, even in their own feed. I think that rights holders or broadcasters are really looking for ways to get smarter about how they really engage their audience into the actual content to make them feel a part of it. And then looking at when anything streaming on Twitch, it's all participatory, and drawing the viewer in like that, whether it's ads or not, I think the industry is in alignment. That is the way that's where everything's headed at the most rudimentary level. I think that those are defined entities, and the fact that we've created a scalable model to do that in a very simple way goes even beyond just ads.
It's definitely unique to see the potential that you could have, especially with the engagement in video, because I argue video is the one medium that doesn't have any form of engagement. It's really difficult. And I think there's a lot of challenges that go with it, but it's interesting that you've obviously starting with ads seems practical, and expanding outwards is going to be really exciting. I like how you showed in the live demo on the back end how in this case, it's very easy to pick the format of ad or content that you want to share, whether it's a banner or whether it's actually the side-by-side videos, as well as being able to put in a direct link to whether it's a supply-side platform or advertisers looking to fill that space. But and also the options with you could do interviews, you could set specific time slots, or et cetera. You can fit triggers. But you guys also have, your technology is also capable of detecting unplanned breaks and filling it as well?
Yeah, so unplanned breaks really speaks to live broadcast. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when there's going to be a timeout. You don't know when someone's going to get injured. So all that is happening on the fly. And all those break-in actions are premium monetizable moments. And the detection, I'm not claiming to have built computer vision science that can analyze a live video and tell you when to insert an ad. And I don't think anyone's claiming that right now. That's certainly something that can be developed in the future. But it doesn't necessarily need to right now, because there's a lot of mechanisms in place that can automate that process. So one is there are very large data companies. There's actually only 2 or maybe 3 that are actually tied into tracking what's happening at a live broadcast. And they are sending signals to the production truck, to any partner that's involved in the stream experience, and they're sending a data signal that says corner kick. You get that signal, and then that's telling you, okay, you have defined criteria with the rights holder. Every time we get a signal of a corner kick, you're going to automatically trigger that in-content ad experience. So that's where the automated connections can occur. Then there's on the fly, how it's done today in in TV is you got your production techs that are watching streaming the live stream, and they are saying, all right, cut to ad break. This could be no different. There's a button, press, inject ad, inject picture in picture. And then there's also industry standard markers that can get passed through the feed. So those are the ad break detections. On the pre-recorded side, you can get far more autonomous because you're pre-processing all that information about the content. So then we can also define, based off of viewer and engagement data, when the most suitable point is to actually insert an ad. And also, when are those moments more memorable to the viewer based off of that data? So then you can create a dynamic pricing model that values certain moments higher than others for ad insertion.
Really interesting that you give that flexibility to your users and make that process also simple or automated. I'm just curious, we talked about it, and I might be repeating myself and beating the same drum, but why do content providers need to provide these new ad formats? I know we talked about engagement, and by providing this new method of ad formats, does that actually change the pricing of ads at all? And then also, just to follow up from that, you did talk about it a little bit, but how do you think this is changing the consumer's viewing experience?
I think that, so to address the pricing point, so if you look at the in-content experiences that you see on live broadcasts on your television today, those are premium placements that are usually relegated to sponsors. So by taking this, optimizing it for digital integration and scale, you're creating a new premium ad experience that was otherwise not practical to execute, offering many different brands the opportunity to appear like a sponsor. So that creates premium value. So you're actually creating like these mini sponsorships at scale. So the experience itself from a brand value carries a premium. Right now, where we're seeing from the marketplace that we've built today, it's following very similar, if not slightly above standard mid-roll pricing for premium OTT advertising. So it's pretty much compatible with that pricing model today. However, I can see this actually creating an entirely new premium marketplace as we drive greater adoption on both the brand side and the publisher side.
It's interesting that obviously having more flexibility and ability to engage with users in a much better way, where they're going to be a lot more engaged in that experience. Of course, I could see how that actually would increase the price of the ads itself. And also,
and one of our brand partners actually, I think, framed it up pretty nicely in terms of the value. He basically said, this is like the homepage takeover for video streaming.
You showed us the platform, and you highlighted how it's really an incremental step in making that process and seamless and connecting your tools with your end users' existing workflow. And I think that's fantastic. I'm just curious, is there any features that really of your platform that really tend to resonate with your customer?
Yeah, I would like to say something new for this question, but it really comes down to the experience. What really resonates is innovating new experience within existing workflows that can create incrementality to their yield and enhance the value of the viewer experience, and also the brand value. I think that is really the defining factor. And then there's I think then secondary to that would be the insights and data that can be provided to really become smarter about how you integrate ads within programming. Oh, and then the other point is that we've been curating a marketplace of brand advertisers that are coming to our platform to specifically purchase this in-content advertising experience. So for publishers, another point of value is that while they are educating their marketplace, their brands with this new format, they can integrate us and then turn on a network or a marketplace of premium brand advertisers directly within the stream feed to fill the ad space. And then as they ramp up, then they'll be selling either direct sold or private marketplace deals to their brands.
I'm just curious, just having looked at this ecosystem and looked at a variety of different tools for the video category as a whole, should the content providers or the rights holders, should they control the end user ad experience, or should it be like the video players or the distribution tools that should be involved or controlling of that? ad experience or an engagement with the consumer? Because it seems like they're collaborating and conflicting at the same time.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. And that's absolutely what we've seen, which has made it interesting too, because we're talking to both. And I think we're partnering with the OEMs or the platform itself, the connected TV device, and we're also partnering with the rights holder. So right now, as it stands, the norm is that the content rights owner, the media owner, controls the experience within their content, no matter where it's distributed. That's the primary terms of their relationship, and I don't see a problem with that. I think they should maintain autonomy over their viewer experience. It's their brand is associated with the content that they're streaming to viewers, no matter where it lives. So I think where it lives is like just a that's just how video is delivered now. It's going to be across a lot of different platforms. Viewers should be able to watch it wherever they want. The content owner should control the experience. I think the platforms should offer the content owner more tools in order to enable better experiences. So then the content rights holder will then make the decisions of, that's an easy integration. I can do that on Roku. I can do this on Apple TV. So I think it's up to the platforms to offer more tools and services to make it easy for the content rights holders to monetize their streams or create new experiences. And I think it's up to the content rights holders to define those experiences. But what will be interesting is we'll be seeing more and more platforms starting to control rights.
I want to take a step back from the product itself a little bit and just generally get your thoughts on some of the industry. But before I do that, what is the business model? Like, what is the relationship that you have with your customers? Is this like a traditional SaaS tool or is it different?
It's a volume-based pricing model. So I wouldn't call it traditional SaaS. It's based off of volume. The model is based off of with our content rights holder partners. If we're enabling you greater monetization, then we're both making money off of that monetization. So it's a rev share model based off of volume. And I think that is a larger opportunity than standardized, just fixed SaaS rates. I think that really makes us a partner invested in the service of that partner. And there's a massive opportunity as we scale that model because we're tapping into a $70 billion marketplace and are mutually benefiting from the upside that we mutually create and value we create for each other.
You talked about it in the previous question slightly about how content might be evolving, but having looked at the media industry as a whole, it seems like it's a unique industry that content does evolve and user experiences evolve, whether it's shorter content or the means in which content is distributed or created, or there's a variety of different video, especially video content format. How do you think this affects TV content, or how do you think content for television is evolving, and where do you see Transmit.live in that?
I think the industry is naturally evolving in a way where there is no term TV. I think that video is video, and people are watching where they want to watch. That's just the baseline, obviously. But then where the industry is headed, and based on what we see, is one, experiences changing, bringing the viewers, getting them more ingrained or getting them to participate more within the actual content streams. So augmenting the actual nature of the way viewers engage with content. Two is addressability for brands, enabling industry standards so that advertisers can reach the viewers that they want to reach and limit their message waste. And then three is measurement. So the sexiest explanation, but that there's a lot changing in those realms that need to be completely redefined and rebuilt over the next 10 years. Where do we fit into that is I see us on the experience side and servicing the supply side and following the evolution of content distribution and monetization and really being a innovative supply side platform to enable that.
I think it's even better. You're giving a lot of content holders or right holders, or empowering them to create incredible experiences, regardless of where the video is distributed, where it is hosted, and having that flexibility to serve ads in a great experience, but also premium ads because they're in fantastic formats that an audience is actually going to engage with, which is what you'd see previously. And having control of that experience too is It's awesome. I'm just curious, has the pandemic, even given this past year, we've been living in a pandemic, and I'm just curious, has the pandemic at all affected your industry or your company?
It's certainly affected the industry, and it's I think it's brought it's I think it made the industry more focused to really pay attention to the fact that the virtual experience is paramount. And I think that was understood previously, but it wasn't getting enough attention and focus, because once you take away a lot of the value of people being in one place at the same time, that's been a massive source of revenue for especially the live streaming media space. You take that away, everyone needs to refocus and say, all right, if we're not going to have that for another year or two, or who knows, how do we supplement that? How do we create better viewer experiences so people are actually watching? We need to raise our viewership of engagement from our fans to actually watch the streams now, because we are losing that source of revenue from the actual events. So I think it enabled us to stand out more and gain more attention, especially from major rights holders. It really put us in a position to be far more collaborative, because now the decision makers within those organizations are paying attention, and they want to learn about how they can implement and activate new experiences and bring new products to market. So we were in a very good position based off of our model to be a valuable partner in this environment.
I have one last question here before we close out, Scott, but thanks again for taking so much time to chat with me. May have already answered this question a couple times and before, but I'm just curious, where do you think the future of advertising for video is going, and what do you see that other people don't?
I think what we see that other people don't is right now. So there's right now how to adopt practical applications to scale new innovation. I think that is really where we have excelled. I think where it's going is 100% new experiences, new streaming experiences. I think that the ways that rights holders will need to think about engaging with their audiences is going to be completely redefined, especially with all new virtual experiences, all new the way videos are, or the way streams are actually being captured is drastically changing. And then the speed by which that the streams are delivered to audiences is only obviously improving. And I think that the speed by which streams are delivered to audiences, once that scales, will be the first step in taking everything to the next level, because then you can really define entirely new experiences in the way people consume content.
Well, with that, Scott, that was all I had. And thanks again for taking so much time. Before I close out, is there anything that you would like to share or announce or ask of the audience?
Thanks for the opportunity to speak, and happy to connect with anyone that is interested in discussing further or collaborating. And you can feel free to share my contact information, email, anything.
Thanks, Scott, again for doing this. And again, for the audience, why we had this conversation, we looked at well over 60 companies in what we think is the video platform category. And one of the companies that really stood out to us was Transmit.live, and you can see the reasons why. Your approach to changing the experience for a user consuming ads that's friendly and simple for a lot of rights holders to implement, or broadcasters or OTT providers to easily just integrate into their existing workflow, create an ad experience that they know that their consumers are going to enjoy, because it doesn't pull them away from the content, and it's integrated in a way that is not disruptive or is not going to create problems at the end, and it boosts that experience. And in turn, what does that do? You're in a position where you can charge premium ads. You could build out your own marketplace and allow publishers to bring in new advertisers and into their own ecosystem, and give them that opportunity to connect with their audience in a way that they probably never have been before. And I think your approach to all of this is fantastic. It's simple, it's straightforward, it makes sense, and it's obviously needed. The engagement in video right now is terrible, I think, across the board, and there's really no companies that are innovating on this in a way that seems practical or makes sense and actually is valuable to the industry players at the moment. So this is fantastic, Scott. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.